Think for a second about something you probably see, well, everywhere in healthcare.
Yeah.
Super simple, right? A disposable syringe.
Yeah. Seems mundane almost.
Exactly. But picture this. By 2025, the global market for just these disposable syringes, it's estimated to hit USD 15,246.5 million. Just staggering.
It really puts these everyday items into perspective, doesn't it? And in this deep dive, we're going to unpack what's really going on behind that huge number. We've got this comprehensive market report. It's packed with some honestly surprising trends and figures.
Absolutely. So our mission for you today is to get a handle on the key forces shaping this market. Where's the growth happening? What's fueling it?
Yeah.
And maybe some unexpected angles you wouldn't normally think about.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we even begin with a market this massive?
Well, I think a good place to start is just the overall growth that the report projects, because we're not talking about a static market here. It's definitely expanding significantly.
Right. We're looking at a climb from that $15.2 billion in 2025 to a projected USD 25,232.9 million by 2033. I mean, that's a pretty substantial jump in just 8 years.
It really is, and that translates to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of 6.50%.
Just 0.5%.
Which, for a market this size, that's a steady, significant upward trend. And the report points to a key reason for this expansion.
Which is?
It's the increasing use of self-injection devices.
Ah, right. It's becoming way more common for people to manage their health conditions themselves at home, isn't it?
Exactly. Think about the convenience, the empowerment for patients managing chronic conditions on their own terms. This growing preference for self-injection, it's a major tailwind for the disposable syringe market.
Makes sense.
Now, while this is a global trend, the picture looks quite different when you actually break it down by region.
Okay, let's do that then. So North America, they currently hold the biggest slice of the pie, right? Over 40%.
That's right, over 40%. In 2025, their market is estimated at USD 5,641.21 million. It's a pretty big number to wrap your head around.
Oh.
It is. Though their growth rate is a bit more measured compared to some other parts of the world, we're looking at a CAGR of 5.0% from 2025 to 2033.
Okay, 5%. And the U.S. is the main player there.
Dominant player, yeah. Accounting for USD 450.91 million in 2025 with a 4.8% CAGR. But Canada and Mexico are also significant contributors,
The report has Canada at USD 676.94 million with a 5.8% CAGR, and Mexico at USD 513.35 million, 5.5% CAGR.
Okay. So North America is the current heavyweight champ. What about Europe? How does it compare?
Well, Europe commands over 30% of the global market, so still very significant. Its size in 2025 is estimated at USD 4,421.49 million, and it's projected to grow at a 5.6% CAGR through 2033. So, steady growth there too.
Over 30%. Okay. And within Europe, are there any particular countries that sort of stand out in terms of growth? Any hotspots?
Absolutely. The UK, for example. It's got a market of USD 742.81 million in 2025, but a pretty robust 6.4% CAGR.
Oh, interesting. Higher than the regional average. Yeah. And Germany is another major player, even bigger market size at USD 875.45 million with a 5.8% CAGR. So it's interesting, like you said, even within a well-established healthcare market like Europe, certain pockets are expanding faster, probably influenced by specific policies or maybe the prevalence of certain conditions there.
Right. And the report obviously details figures for France, Italy, Spain, others too.
All contributing to that big market share.
Okay, so North America largest, Europe a strong second. But where's the real, energy in terms of future growth? Where should we be paying the closest attention?
That would undoubtedly be the Asia-Pacific region, APAC.
Okay.
In 2025, they hold around 23% of the global market, valued at roughly USD 3,659.16 million. But here's where it gets really dynamic.
Yeah.
Their projected CAGR is a remarkable 9.2%.
Wow, 9.2%.
Yeah, that makes it the fastest growing region by a pretty significant margin.
That's nearly double North America's rate. Which countries in APAC are really lighting that fire?
Well, China is definitely a key driver. Huge market already, USD 1,536.85 million in 2025, and a strong 8.7% CAGR. But the real standout, the absolute highest growth rate in the region is India.
India, really?
Yeah, market size around USD 365.92 million in 2025, but check this out. The highest CAGR in the entire region at 11.1%.
11%. That's incredible growth.
It is. Think about that. A market growing over 11% year on year.
It really speaks to, well, probably increasing access to healthcare, the changing landscape there. And the report mentions others too, right?
Yep.
Japan, South Korea, Australia, Southeast Asia.
Exactly. All contributing to this pretty exciting growth story in APAC.
Okay. What about the other regions? South America, Middle East, Africa, are they significant?
Yeah, they are, though smaller shares. South America holds over 5% globally. That's about USD 579.37 million in 2025, with a solid 7.2% CAGR. Brazil and Argentina are leading the charge there.
Okay, 7.2%. Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. Then the Middle East, smaller share, around 2%, maybe USD 609.86 million in 2025, but shows a robust 7.8% CAGR. That's fueled mainly by growth in Saudi Arabia and the UAE.
Interesting. Faster growth in South America even.
Yeah. And finally, Africa. Currently around 1%, market size about USD 335.42 million, still presents a respectable 6.8% CAGR. South Africa and Nigeria are key markets there.
Okay, so it's clear North America leads in size now, but the real future growth story seems to be unfolding in APAC with, strong potential elsewhere too, like South America and the Middle East.
Precisely.
Now let's get into the why behind all these numbers. What are the major factors actually propelling this global expansion? What are the drivers?
Okay, so the report highlights several key market drivers. First and foremost, as we kind of touched on earlier, is the increasing prevalence of chronic diseases. Think diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis.
Right.
These conditions often need regular injectable meds, driving significant demand. And coupled with that, you've got large-scale vaccination programs globally, still a major factor.
That makes perfect sense. Injectables often give you a more immediate therapeutic effect, right? And with the rise of complex biologic drugs, which often have to be injected, the need for disposable syringes just naturally goes up.
Exactly. That's a huge piece. Secondly, there's a growing and I think really important demand for more environmentally conscious solutions, sustainable, disposable solutions.
Ah, the sustainability angle.
Yeah, the sheer volume of non-biodegradable plastic waste from traditional syringes. It's becoming a major environmental headache.
Absolutely. We're all much more aware of the environmental footprint of healthcare now.
Yeah.
So what kind of shift are we seeing there?
Well, the report indicates a definite move towards developing and adopting biodegradable or maybe recyclable syringe options.
Okay.
And this shift, it's being driven partly by stricter regulations, sure, but also just by growing environmental awareness among healthcare providers, patients, everyone. It's both a challenge and, a real opportunity for manufacturers.
Definitely. And what's the third major driver mentioned?
The third one is the increasing popularity of pre-filled syringes.
Pre-filled. Okay, tell us about the advantages there.
Well, pre-filled syringes offer a pretty big boost in convenience. Plus, and this is critical, they minimize the risk of medication errors and contamination
How so?
because they contain a precise unit dose of the drug already measured out. This is really appealing for self-administration, like we talked about, but also in busy clinical settings where time and accuracy are paramount.
Right, so enhanced safety, greater convenience, better accuracy. It's kind of a trifecta of benefits.
Yeah.
That certainly explains why they're getting more popular.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every market faces hurdles, right? What are some of the things that might restrain the growth of the disposable syringe market? What are the headwinds?
So the report points to the increasing availability of alternative drug delivery methods. That's a key restraint.
Like what?
Think about options like auto-injectors, pen injectors, even some needle-free technologies are emerging. Plus, you've got transdermal patches, oral medications.
Lots of competition.
Exactly. It gives patients and healthcare providers a range of choices depending on the specific condition, patient preference, maybe fear of needles, a lot of factors.
It really is a competitive landscape for drug delivery, isn't it? So many ways to get medication into the system, each with pros and cons. Is there another potential headwind?
Yeah, another significant one is the potential negative impact from product recalls.
Ah, okay.
Any issues related to the safety or quality of disposable syringes that lead to a recall? Well, that can seriously erode public trust and definitely put a damper on market growth.
That's always a critical factor in medical devices. Patient safety is just non-negotiable.
Okay, let's maybe switch gears slightly and talk about the big picture trends shaping the future here.
Sure. Well, one dominant trend, which we've already kind of hit on, is that rising global prevalence of chronic diseases. As more people live longer with conditions needing regular medication, often via injection, that fundamental demand for disposable syringes just keeps growing. It's a baseline driver. Right. And building on that, you mentioned biologics earlier. The increasing demand for biosimilars and biologics generally, that's another major trend, isn't it?
Exactly. These advanced, often complex medications frequently need very precise injectable delivery. And that makes pre-filled syringes, in particular, an increasingly essential tool for administering them correctly and safely.
So it's this combination, really, a growing population with chronic conditions needing treatment, plus advancements in the types of injectable medications available. That's a powerful engine for this market.
Definitely.
Now, how is this market actually broken down, like segmented? What are the different categories the report looks at?
Okay, the report segments the market in a few key ways. It looks at product outlook, application outlook, and end user outlook.
Got it. Let's start with product.
Okay, so product outlook. Currently, safety syringes hold the largest share of the market.
That makes intuitive sense, right? Given the huge emphasis on preventing needle stick injuries and the risk of cross-contamination in hospitals and clinics.
Precisely. Regulations, infection control protocols, these are major drivers for the widespread adoption of safety syringes. They have features to, shield or retract the needle after use.
But which product type is growing fastest?
That would be the pre-filled syringes we were just talking about. The report identifies them as the segment with the most rapid growth within the product category.
And that growth, as we've kind of established, is likely fueled by that rising demand for convenient, accurate, self-administered injectables, especially for those newer biologic drugs.
Spot on. Okay, moving on to application outlook. How are these syringes being used?
Right.
Well, medication delivery is the dominant segment here, which is, pretty straightforward. The primary job of these syringes is delivering medications and vaccines.
Driven, again, by the huge volume of treatments for chronic illnesses and ongoing vaccination programs. Makes sense. What's the fastest growing application segment, though?
Interestingly, it's medication preparation.
Preparation.
Yeah.
How does that work?
This growth is largely tied back to the rise of pre-filled syringes again. They simplify and streamline the whole preparation process, reducing the steps involved, which in turn cuts down the potential for errors or contamination before the injection even happens.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about the injecting part, but making the whole process of getting the medication ready safer and more efficient. Got it. Now let's look at who's actually buying and using the end user outlook.
Right, so currently hospitals represent the largest end user segment.
No surprise there.
Not really, no. It's just down to the sheer volume of medical procedures done in hospitals that need syringes. Plus, their intense focus on infection control and efficient drug administration makes reliable, disposable syringes essential.
Yeah, logical conclusion given how central hospitals are.
Hmm.
What about the end user segment that's showing the fastest growth? Where's the momentum?
That would actually be the pharmaceutical industry itself, specifically within the B2B business-to-business sector, related particularly to pre-filled syringes.
So pharma companies buying syringes.
Buying them, often pre-filled with their drugs. This growth is being propelled by that increasing demand for self-administered biologics we keep mentioning. The pre-filled format offers huge advantages for both the drug manufacturers packaging their products and for the patients using them.
So the pharma companies themselves are a significant growth engine here as they embrace the pre-filled format for their injectable meds.
Interesting. Now, with a market this big, this dynamic, what's the competitive landscape like? Is it crowded?
Oh, yeah. The report indicates it's a highly competitive market. There are a significant number of manufacturers, big and small, all vying for market share both globally and regionally.
Any recent examples of how these companies are trying to, get an edge or solidify their position?
Yeah, the report highlights a couple of interesting strategic moves recently. For instance, BD made a pretty significant investment in their U.S. manufacturing back in January 2025, really focused on increasing production capacity for essential devices, including syringes.
Okay, boosting supply. Exactly. And another example, Genexus was building a totally new production facility in North Carolina that was back in March 2023, specifically for their innovative kinetic syringe. So you see investment in both scale and new tech.
Right. So we're seeing both expansion of existing capabilities and companies investing in innovation, trying to differentiate. Who are some of the major names we should know in this competitive arena?
Well, the report lists several prominent companies. You've got names like Medtronic, Nipro, Fresenius Kabi, Baxter, BD again, Terumo, Novo Nordisk. It's quite a list. A mix of established medical device giants and some major pharmaceutical players who are also involved, especially with prefilled systems.
Okay, so a pretty active and competitive field indeed. Now, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's maybe recap the key takeaways for everyone listening.
Yeah, sounds good. So first off, the global disposable syringe market is substantial. We're talking projected over USD 15 million in 2025, with strong growth expected reaching over USD 25 billion by 2033. Second, safety syringes currently dominate in terms of market share due to safety needs. But keep an eye on prefilled syringes. They're the fastest growing product segment.
Got it.
Geographically, while North America leads in size right now, the Asia-Pacific region is where the most rapid expansion is anticipated. That 9.2% CAGR is huge.
Right. APAC is the one to watch for growth.
Definitely. And finally, end users. Hospitals are the biggest segment today, but the pharmaceutical industry, particularly around prefilled syringes, represents a key area for future growth.
Excellent summary. Really captures the main points. So considering all of this, here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to ponder. With this increasing global focus on environmental sustainability that we discussed, how might the disposable syringe market really adapt and innovate in the next decade?
Yeah, it's a big question. Will we see a significant shift towards more eco-friendly materials and designs without compromising those crucial safety standards? It's a tough balance.
Or maybe think about it this way. Given the continued advancements in those alternative drug delivery systems, the patches, the pens, needle-free tech def, what key innovations in disposable syringe technology itself will be absolutely essential to maintain their strong growth trajectory?
Lots to consider there, definitely.
Absolutely. We really encourage you to think more deeply about these market dynamics and, the broader future of healthcare delivery based on what we've explored today.